Welcome to the RVA Small Business Show, your number one resource for business growth education, insights, and news. Let's get today's show started.
Welcome to the RVA Small Business Show, exclusively on the RVA Small Business Network. I'm Joan Bowling, your host for today's show. For many Christian CEOs and business owners, there's a focus on building great businesses and building them for a greater purpose. Creating an environment where peers work together to make better decisions, avoid costly mistakes, and create solid plans for business growth while striving to create internal impact far beyond the bottom line is now an opportunity that is available in the Richmond metro area. Joining me today is Dan Hennigan, RVA chairperson of C12 Forums. Dan, welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you, Joan.
Now, there may be those in the audience that aren't acquainted with C12 Forums. Give us some insight as to what they are.
C12 is actually a shorter version of Christian 12 that was started 30 years ago by Buck Jacobs. And the business focuses on equipping Christian CEOs and owners to build, as you said, a great business for a greater purpose. Our vision is that we can positively change the marketplace by bringing the gospel into it through our business. So we have 4,000 CEOs throughout the country and actually 7 foreign countries that meet once a month to review the curriculum that we've prepared for C12.
You mentioned 30 years. It may be new to the Richmond area, but it's a well-tenured program, not only nationally, but internationally as well.
Yes.
Now, you brought up that faith is incorporated into the business discussion. A lot of people think of keeping those as separate. Obviously, C12 has a different opinion about that. Why is it more impactful to grow a business by combining the two?
Well, our view is that if we have a Christ-following CEO or owner, then there's fundamentally a belief that God has a plan for their life. And if he has a plan for their life, he would most likely have a plan for their business. And so if we look at the Bible as being the owner's manual, he created us and he has spoken to us through that, well, we see that work is mentioned over 800 times in the Bible. Money is discussed over 2,300 times in the Bible. So there's a pretty clear view that our goal as we build our businesses is not to live a compartmentalized life with what we do on Sunday, but actually live an integrated life and bring who we are into our businesses. We're called to serve, and if we're serving our employees and our customers in a way that gives God the glory, then that's a positive impact on many people, and we feel there's lots of owners that would like to have that camaraderie to learn together how to do that.
Absolutely. So not separate, but all-inclusive, or incorporating what you already believe into what you do. God has a plan for you, as you mentioned. Now, before anyone can jump into any activity or organization, they have to sample it. And I believe you first sampled C12 in Florida. Am I correct on that?
Actually, it was in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Wilmington.
And I was building a telehealth company, and we had employees throughout the country. And I was introduced to a group, a C12 group in Wilmington. And the first day I was there, I saw, 13 people around the table that fundamentally believed that they were going to trust in the Lord and not rely on their own understanding, as Proverbs would say. And so that experience of being among other folks where there was transparency, there was encouragement, but most importantly, there was a focus on best business practice content, for me was life-giving, and it was also like having pure protein. It was just a wonderful day to work on my business, not just in the business.
So work on your business is what C12 is all about on that monthly meeting, peer advisory, but it's facilitated as well. So talk a little bit more about that experience then. Was that the spark for you that you said, I've got to bring this to the Richmond area?
Yeah, it was interesting in that as I was considering this opportunity, they described that Richmond did not have a C12 forum. And I was surprised. My wife grew up east of Richmond. And when we talked about it, she said, I'm willing to move from Wilmington, North Carolina to go up there to support really this mission field. So we moved up at really the first of the year. And it was an opportunity to say there's 1 million plus people in this market. There's probably 4,000 businesses that have at least a couple, 3 million in sales. This is a great opportunity. It's a great mission field. So after going through 6 weeks of training, because the facilitation role is really important, we then began in February to orient the market to what we were doing. And the Lord has provided. We're up to, I think it's 10 members now as part of C12. And the goal is to certainly get to at least 12 by the end of the year.
That sounds fantastic. Talk about what the member benefits are by being a part of a C12 group.
Well, a couple things. One, the business growth. People that are part of this are not necessarily interested in just maintaining a lifestyle business. They want to grow their business. So business growth is important. Also, the culture of a company can vastly improve if the CEO owner is really living their faith. And I think that that's an important distinction because there may be many people that believe, but they may not necessarily understand, well, how do you lead like Christ? I mean, Jesus was actually, he headed up a small business. He had 12 employees as such, and he actually got down on his knees and he washed the feet of somebody who would actually betray him. Well, if we had leaders that really express the fruit of the Spirit, patience and joy, I mean, that's the type of thing that individually an owner can benefit from, but the business that they develop and the customers that they reach can also develop well.
So as far as the benefits then, there's the leadership opportunity. As you said, Jesus led that 12-person team right there. So there's leadership. There's what you mentioned, the trust factor. If you can grow your culture or change your culture, whatever direction you need to do, there's more of a trust factor with your employees then. And in turn, I believe I've read somewhere, Dan, that a lot of people leave their jobs not because of finances, but because they don't feel acknowledged. It's a cultural kind of thing. So that can boost a business as well. But then there's obviously the financial piece too. You're in business to grow the business,
right.
And that's an important piece too. That's talked about, isn't it, in the C12?
Most definitely. I mean, we say that you can't really have a business as a mission if you don't have a margin. And so creating a margin in your business means you need to be aware of best practices. Maybe there's resources that the people around the table can connect you with so that your business can grow profitably. And in growing profitably, that allows employees to have better benefits. It allows employees to have better training programs. So your employees begin to flourish because you're investing in them. And you're also taking time with them. Christ spent a lot of time away praying. Here he is, the Son of God, and he's praying. And so how often as a team do we maybe get there early and just say, anybody that just wants to pray about some things that are challenging them, we're just going to open up space, not during the day, but maybe before the day, to invite people to participate. And it's really amazing how giving that space to employees to just discover what is it that they believe, because a CEO of a Christ-following business doesn't necessarily hire Christians, just hires people and just invests in them as Christ would invest in us.
Every monthly session is a day to work on the business, and it's led by a facilitator.
Yes.
What does a typical agenda look like?
Yeah, there's 4 parts. We start the day at 9 o'clock. There's a devotion, prayer requests, praises about what those CEOs have experienced in the past week, or the past month since we've met. We then move to a best business practice focus. In the last 3 months have been strategic planning in September. October was succession planning. Most businesses trade hands without a succession plan, which is hard to believe, but it's true. And this month's about cybersecurity. So each month there's a very focused business practice that we work with. Then we move into business as a ministry. Business as a ministry is something that evolves. We have one internet company that's sending out the Gospel of John and all their packages for the people that buy their products. So they're just allowing the word to go, and it's just added to the package. Then we focus on open forum issues, which are what are items that the table wants to discuss. Are there particular issues that somebody wants help with? And we also then have a core business presentation once a month, and that's from a member who gives us a complete overview, strategy of their business, P&L, balance sheet, a real focus on what are they looking to achieve in the next year, what do they need help with. And then the last is to-dos. We want to be accountable for what are we learning today that we would like to affect within the next 30 days. Maybe somebody mentioned a book. I'd like to read that book, and I want to hold you accountable to read that book for the next month. Or, hey, I've been really working hard. I need a date night with my wife, so I want to set up a date night. Well, did you follow through on that? So there's a variety of things that people commit to, but I think that's also part of the group, is having that accountability.
Accountability is key. And the more you understand the members of your team, the more you can help your team.
Yep.
Not only in the C12 forum, but again, you take that back to the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday as well, which is key. So then who are you looking for? Who is that ideal candidate to become a member of C12?
Well, I think we would enjoy having anyone experience a table. So there's not a qualification as such, except for the fact that the person has to own the business. So a district manager for a larger company would not necessarily be the right person, wouldn't be qualified. We want somebody that's humble, hungry, and smart. Somebody that recognizes that they've been really working hard. They would like the fellowship of other people because they are alone. I mean, most small business owners don't get into it because they're entrepreneurs. They get in it because they had a good skill and they're actually developing a business, but now they're facing payroll, IT, insurance, hiring people. They have all this going on. And what does Christ say? All of you who are just heavy laden, come to me and I'll give you rest. And so he wants them to have rest. And so somebody that says, I want to work on my business for a day in the company of other people, that's a person that we would love to invite and have them experience it. And then the Holy Spirit's in charge from there. Whether they decide this is for them or not, we're just going to let them work that out.
So to reach out and to guest, so to speak, for one of those meetings, confidentiality maintained.
Absolutely.
And that way you can determine whether you want to lean in a little bit further and join the group, which is great. Now, I was looking around your website, very informative, very educational, and I stumbled upon a Buffalo factor. And at first I thought, because I'm from the Northeast, we were talking about that city up in the Northeast, but that's not it at all. So explain a little bit about what that means in C12.
C12 talks about a Buffalo culture. And a Buffalo culture is, first of all, it's a herd mentality. So we want to be a herd. We want to work together. We want to enjoy the opportunities to protect the herd. And that herd is not only the 200 facilitators or chairs throughout the world, but also our forums. So we want to protect them. But that mammal will actually head into a storm. So they gather up as a herd, and as a storm comes, they're willing to press in and go into the storm rather than flee the storm. So a Buffalo culture says you have Buffalo moments where you ask hard questions, you lean in. When somebody gives you an answer to a question, okay, you can agree with that, or you can question that answer and actually get down a little bit deeper and get to the heart of really what's concerning a particular member. So that's a Buffalo moment where you're leaning in and you're willing to go into the storm because it's actually going to be a better experience than running away from it.
It is. It's going to benefit you, and it's going to have the ripple effect to your team and your community for sure. You've had a strong start in the Richmond area. What are the plans for growing in the Richmond area?
Well, we look at Virginia State and we think if in 2025, the state of Virginia had 250 businesses that were part of C12, well, that would arguably mean that the Richmond market should have at least 50 businesses, because we already have businesses in Northern Virginia, Southeast, and Southwest Virginia that are probably about 120 so far. So if we can almost double that within the next 2 years, then there's the potential that we could probably reach about almost 1.5 million people with between employees, families, communities, vendors, customers. They would actually be served by a business that wants to serve like the Lord served. He came to be served, and or to serve rather than be served. And so our view is that's a goal that we're only going to accomplish it through our own humility and really just to press on and just be active in the market talking to folks.
Active in the marketplace and continue efforts. Again, strong start so far, and it will continue that way. Thanks so much for telling us why and how C12 Forums can create that framework for success.
Great.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
Joan.
that. You're welcome. For more information on C12 Forums RVA, please contact 410-458-0271. This has been another episode of the RVA Small Business Show, RVA's only online streaming video network dedicated to small business growth, education, trends, and news. I'm Joan Bowling. I'll see you next time.
This has been another episode of the RVA Small Business Show, presented by the RVA Small Business Network. Be sure to like, share, and join our newsletter at rvasbn.com.